can answer it. You refuse to answer. Can you tell the American people, in the history of the Treasury Department, has there ever been a taxpayer who's been recommended to have immunity from an audit of their taxes?
Has there ever been a taxpayer who had his tax returns released, his
Thank
family,
you.
and every
So
employee?
I'll take that as a no.
Employees.
Let me ask you, sir,
Congressman,
since you
if you'd like
say
to
you're
apologize
relying
to the president
Thank you. I
and all
reserve
his employees today.
Maintaining
I would
my
join you
time.
in that.
A single question about IRS audit immunity just exposed exactly how much Scott Bessent does not want Congress to know. Lloyd Doggett asked something simple. Has any taxpayer ever received protection from a future audit? Yes or no? What Bessent gave back was ongoing litigation, procedural caution, and a wall of careful non-answers. Doggett did not accept the framing. He drew the distinction out loud in front of the entire committee. There is a difference between a witness who cannot answer and one who will not. That accusation does not stay in the hearing room. Watch what happens when secrecy gets called by its actual name.
Thank you. Mr. Doggett.
During your tenure as Treasury Secretary, has the IRS recommended that any taxpayer be granted immunity from an audit for their taxes?
Again, one portion of that is the under litigation, so I'm not able to.
Yes, sir. It isn't a question of being not able, it's being not want to. But my question
no, sir.
is about...
As I said,
thank you, sir.
There is litigation.
Reserving my time, my question to you again is...
Definition of insanity,
in the
sir.
ordinary practice of the Treasury Department, has there ever been a recommendation that a taxpayer be granted immunity from an audit of their taxes?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Same question. Has the IRS recommended that any taxpayer be granted immunity from an audit of their taxes?
Again, I'm unable to answer that.
Notice what Bessent was actually asked. Not for private tax records, not for confidential financial details, not for anything that touches ongoing litigation in a way that requires legal protection. Doggett asked one narrow factual question, whether the IRS had recommended audit immunity for any taxpayer during Bessent's tenure. That is it. And Bessent still would not answer it. That refusal is doing more damage than any answer could have. Because when a Treasury Secretary cannot respond to a question that narrow, the room stops asking about tax policy and starts asking who is being protected and why.
You can answer it. You refuse to answer. Can you tell the American people, in the history of the Treasury Department, has there ever been a taxpayer who's been recommended to have immunity from an audit of their taxes?
Has there ever been a taxpayer who had his tax returns released, his
Thank you.
family, and every
So
employee?
I'll take that as a
every
no.
employees.
Let me ask you, sir,
Congressman,
since
if
you
you'd like
say
to
you're
apologize
relying
to the president
Thank you.
and
I
all
reserve
his employees today.
Maintaining
I
my
would join you in
time,
that.
and since you refuse to answer, let me ask you, since you say you're following the advice of the Attorney General, the former criminal defense attorney for Mr. Trump, as you know, the Attorney General cannot compromise a tax dispute unless it's referred to him from the IRS for prosecution or defense. Have you ever been involved in any way in a decision to refer a tax dispute to the Attorney General?
Again, I cannot comment on that.
Doggett is now holding the two things Bessent wants to keep together completely apart. Cannot answer and will not answer are not the same statement. They do not carry the same weight. They do not produce the same conclusion. Bessent has not once claimed he lacks the authority. He is choosing silence. And every refusal compounds the question it was supposed to close. Has the IRS built a protection for one powerful taxpayer that nobody else in this country would ever be offered? Bessent keeps leaving that question exactly where Doggett wants it, unanswered, in public, on the record.
You can't comment. Your argument here that you can't comment in this case makes as much sense as President Trump saying that he cannot. I understand you want to talk over me, but you're not answering the question, because you may have defined insanity by referring to Einstein, but your appearance here today and yesterday in the Senate defines deception, and that's what you're doing to the American people. Isn't it correct, sir, that the Financial Management Service within the Treasury Department must give approval before any payment can be made from the judgment fund?
Sir, we administer the payments.
Yes, sir. You give approval to it. And
no, sir, we administer them.
You make a sign-off on them being...
We administer them, just like if you tell your bank to wire money.
Did
your
Brian...
bank does not say, do not pay, you shouldn't pay your Visa bill.
Did Brian Morrissey, who had been only confirmed by the Senate a few months earlier as Treasury General Counsel, do a good job for you? Can you answer that just with a yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, he did. And as you know, he abruptly resigned rather than be associated with the seedy Trump slush fund deal. and didn't sign
sir,
off on
and-
anything.
sir,
Can you
and-
pledge to the
unless
committee?
you are-
I'm asking you a question, sir, if you'd listen to it. Can you pledge to the committee that you will assure that no retaliation occurs against the career IRS employees who wrote the 25-page memo asking the Department of Justice to halt action on this outrageous audit immunity deal?
Sir, we follow the law.
Okay, well, will you follow the law and assuring
we
the committee
always
that
follow
you
the
won't
law.
retaliate against those courageous career employees?
We always follow the law.
What's involved here, sir, is the most corrupt deal in American history. Truly incredible.
That was the moment Doggett stopped asking about process and made the accusation directly. Bessent's refusal to answer is not a privacy shield. It is cover for a deal that may have handed one powerful individual something no ordinary taxpayer would ever be offered, regardless of how much they paid in legal fees or how long they fought. Bessent still did not confirm it, did not deny it, left the central question exactly where it has been since this hearing started. Was the IRS following the same rules it applies to everyone else? Or was a separate set of rules written quietly, behind closed doors, for one person?
That a president of the United States could come in and sue the people of the United States for $10 billion and then walk off with an immunity deal that no other American has ever had, nor could they receive, and to get that immunity deal from his former criminal defense attorney, who he has appointed as acting attorney general. This is the kind of corruption that would permit the Trump family, if the Wall Street Journal is correct, that Trump earned $5 billion from his crypto bills last year, to be to pay him or not pay him as he feels it's smart to do. He made no complaint about the audits in his petition, and yet suddenly out of nowhere, he's granted immunity in what some have said in a report would be $100,000 benefit, $100 million benefit to him. You know that there is a responsibility of your department to do audits of the president every year. A report of this committee indicates that only one was begun during the first term. What are you doing to assure that those annual audits occur this year? The first term, 3 years, nothing. Has anything been done this year to fulfill that responsibility?
Again, sir, due to IRS
I'm not talking about...
IRS Rule 6103, which prohibits the discussion of taxpayer information.
It doesn't...
This
doesn't prohibit
this
your...
is how we got there with Mr. Littlejohn.
Yes, sir. It
And
doesn't
I don't
prohibit
think
you
you want the
indicating
automatic
what
5
you are
years in
doing to
jail,
assure
Congressman.
complicity with the law and with the practice, longstanding practice of the
I
Internal
am
Revenue Service.
finding that-
So I
I
think
am
we can
following the
assume from your
privacy-
deception today that nothing's being done, and this president is being treated in a way that no other president, no other American citizen has ever been treated.
I would agree with that,
in
sir.
an incredibly corrupt deal.
I would
yield
agree
back.
he is being treated the way no other person has ever been treated.
Mr. Smith.
In the end, the hearing closed with the one thing Scott Bessent never provided, a straight answer. He did not confirm audit immunity was granted, did not deny it, did not point to a precedent, did not explain why a question this narrow required this much protection. Doggett's final argument is the one that stays past the gavel. This was not legal inability. It was a choice. And when a senior official sitting in front of Congress makes that choice 9 times in a single exchange, the silence stops being a legal strategy and starts being its own kind of answer. Every American who has ever sat across from an IRS agent knows there is one set of rules for them. This hearing was about whether a different set exists for someone else.